जैसा कि मैंने फ्लायर पहले भेज ही दिया था, जो हम भेज देते हैं। आज हमारे साथ शेरे कश्मीर यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी की डीन एग्रीकल्चर प्रोफेसर रेहाना हबीब कांत, डॉक्टर R.H. कांत मैडम हमारे साथ हैं। सेशन के किसी स्पीकर के बोलने से पहले हम छोटा सा परिचय उसका देते हैं। तो इसको अडेयर करते हुए आज मैं स्वयं मैडम का परिचय दूंगा। डॉक्टर रेहाना हबीब कांत इज करेंटली वर्क as a Dean Agriculture in Sere Kashmir University of Agriculture Science and Technology, Kashmir. He has done her BSc Agriculture from ISKWAST, Kashmir, MSc Agrometeorology from PAU Ludhiana, and PhD from ISKWAST, Kashmir. ये अपने आप में बहुत ख्याति का विषय होता है, बहुत सम्मान का और बहुत गौरव का विषय होता है कि जिस व्यक्ति ने जिस विश्वविद्यालय से शिक्षा ग्रहण की हो, आज इतने बड़े एक सक्षम पद पे, डीन एग्रीकल्चर बहुत बड़ा पद होता है विश्वविद्यालय के अंदर, पूरे संकाय को संभालना, मैडम आज उसे संभाल रही हैं। He has served in the university for more than 30 years in various capacities like head KBK Budgam, professor, head agronomy, etc. She has a vast experience of teaching, research, and extension. She has guided around 17 PhD students as a major advisor and more than 25 students as a major advisory committee, member of advisory committee. She has more than 100 research publications, 3 books, and 25 book chapters to her credit. She is member of 11 national and international scientific associations and executive member of Association of Agrometeorologists, Indian Society of Agronomy, etc. And she has handled 7 externally research projects. ये मैडम का एक छोटा सा परिचय है। ख्यातियां बहुत बड़ी हैं, अगर उनको बताएंगे तो 1 घंटा लग जाएगा। तो मैं उन सारी फॉर्मेलिटीज को ना करते हुए डायरेक्ट मैडम को आमंत्रित करता हूं। मैडम प्लीज। मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ जी, हाँ जी। गुड इवनिंग एवरीबॉडी। थैंक यू डॉक्टर साहब। तो आज हम बात कर रहे हैं इम्पैक्ट एंड एडॉप्शन ऑफ रिसोर्स कंजर्वेशन प्रैक्टिसेस इन प्रिसिशन एग्रीकल्चर। तो जैसे कि आपने इन दिनों पढ़ा ही होगा प्रिसिशन एग्रीकल्चर के बारे में, बट आई विल स्टिल स्टार्ट विद द बेसिक्स, दैट इज द इट्स जो डेफिनेशंस कहते हैं हम इनको, हम उससे ही जाएंगे। एक सेकेंड। ये तो फिर से चल नहीं रहा है।
मैम उसी प्रोसेस को आप फॉलो करिए जिसमें आप कर्सर करके आगे बढ़ा पा रहे थे।
सो प्रिसिशन एग्रीकल्चर की डेफिनेशंस अगर हम बताएं तो इट इज soil and crop management is carefully tailored like we do for our dresses, fitting बराबर हो, सब कुछ हो। तो हम इसमें कहते हैं कि एनवायरनमेंट के साथ सॉइल और क्रॉप की मैनेजमेंट इतनी अच्छे से होगी ताकि वो बिल्कुल प्रिसिशन हो, बिल्कुल एक्यूरेसी में हो। So that is the precision agriculture, or application of the technologies and principles to manage the spatial and the temporal variability, because we know that the topography of our lands is not always the same. It varies with space, it varies with time, and so we have to devise the technologies and some principles in which we have to take care of these variability. We cannot go for blanket application of any resource now, of it may be fertilizer or any technology. Now the time has come when we have to develop integrated information and production based agriculture system to optimize the long term, site specific and whole farm productivity and minimize the impacts on the environment. It is also the physical and financial management of farming operation in a site specific manner, which returns more control, repeatability, and certainty to the farming enterprise, resulting in lower cost and less variable and more predictable returns. And it's the application of technologies and principles to manage spatial and temporal variability associated with all aspects of agriculture production for the purpose of improving crop performance and environmental quality. And the USDA has defined it as a management system that is information and technology based, is site specific, uses one or more of the following resource of data, that is soils, crops, nutrients, pests, moisture, yield, for optimum profitability, sustainability, and protection of the environment. In some cases, we may be using only two or three. For example, we are taking into consideration soil and crop and its nutrients. But in some where water is a scarce commodity, we can have the precision agriculture for water management. So we have to see what is the basic thing that we need to have precision agriculture on it. So if we see the evolution of the precision agriculture, we see that before 19th century, in the 19th century, we were using the plow, and then we had its machinery, tractorization and all. And then in 80s, we started with GMOs, and in 2008, what we are having is a high class machinery and a GPS tracking. And present, we are seeing that we are having plenty of data with these different apps. We are having weather data, we are having different GPS data, we are having the crop data. But the farmer is overwhelmed by the data. He doesn't know what is to be used, because nowadays, as you must be knowing, hearing the word of WhatsApp University. So whatever is being forwarded, you don't know whether it is to be used, it is a correct information or not. So that is how a person is confused. Similarly, a farmer is confused because he is getting too much of data. Whether this data is streamlined, whether it is specific to him, he's not knowing about it. So that is what the future is going to be, that specific information for the specific person. If I am having my field in Kashmir, so I should be having the information, the data of my own field. So that means that then I can use this information, this to the highest benefit. Otherwise, it will not benefit at all, because if what is specific to a place 100 kilometers away from me is not feasible for my farmer, for that place. So that is why the future, now the new growth potential for the farmers is going to be like, whatever the data is there, it will be specific to the concerned person. So he will be connected with the weather station, he will be connected with the Doppler weather forecasting, he will be having whole data from his plant sensors, and then he will be having out the yield mapping, then all the sensors which are there, or all the apps which are there, will be specific to his farm, specific to his condition. So that is the basics of the precision agriculture, that it has to be very precise, and it has to be site specific for the particular farmer. So we can classify precision agriculture on the basis of technology. That is, we will be having a traditional precision agriculture based on traditional technology, or a modern precision agriculture based on IT and semi-mechanization, or a high-tech precision agriculture based on high robotization and IT, which is going to be the future. In some of the developed countries, they are using the robots for harvesting, for weeding, and many IITs, universities are working on it, because the government has a policy of promotion of artificial intelligence. A lot of startups are being encouraged. AICT is working on artificial intelligence for they are promoting it for agriculture, and many projects are being asked for it. So this is going to be the near future. So if by object, we can classify the precision agriculture as a precision farming, or if it's for forestry or for horticulture, then it's a precision forestry or precision fruit. Then if we are using it for plant protection, then we can call it precision protecting agriculture. Then for precision fishing. So by aim, if our aim is water saving, then we can call it water saving precision agriculture. If it's food saving, we can call it food saving precision husbandry. Or if it is online, we are doing then virtual. By producing progress, we can be having pre-production precision agriculture, producing precision agriculture, harvesting precision agriculture, and by ecology type, we can have hill precision agriculture, we can have high production area precision agriculture, we can have sea beach precision farming, grassland precision husbandry. So that is one of some methods of classification of the precision agriculture. So paradigms of agriculture is, if we see under the developed countries, the technology in traditional agriculture was before 1950, it was in relatively constant. But in modern agriculture, we are having better seeds, fertilizers, agrochemicals, and mechanization. And the new agriculture that is now after 1985, we are depending on information technology, we are depending on biotechnology, integrated technologies. In biotechnologies now, you see the tissue culture in banana is a high success. Tissue culture in strawberries, tissue culture in pomegranate, gerbera, many things we have advanced. So that is the new agriculture. In under, if we see in organization, under new agriculture, we are focusing on quality, we are focusing on environmental protection, we are focusing in direct marketing, e-nam, e-marketing. Farmers are trying to have their portals. Government is providing them the portals for e-marketing, ethical marketing, and new products. In social impacts, in new agriculture, we are having regularly, there's a dynamic change in the society. The payments are now being given direct. You can have digital payments. We are trying to remove the middleman in between, and the rural development is over there. And the driving forces in the new agriculture is that what drives it. So now the farmer knows that we have to see the consumer preferences, we have to see the market of that product, and he should be having the information. So that is the some of the paradigms of the modern agriculture, new agriculture. That is, it should be market oriented, it should be having, the product should be having consumer preference, and the farmer and as well as the consumer should be having the information where to get and where to sell. Then innovators, we should be having some social experts are there now. This time we are having a lot of innovators who are trying to be innovation, bring innovations either in farming or in marketing. And then technology forecast, which was not in traditional agriculture, and in modern agriculture, that is 19 up to 1985, we were having some technical solutions by the experts. But now this time we have mega trends. There are many social experts which give the forecast of all the agri producers, and it is available with the farmers. Then if we see from pre-green revolution to post-green revolution, we are seeing that now we are having the consequences of all this is like in plant architecture. Now we are having GM plants. In agronomic paradigm, initially pre-green we had rain-fed and natural farming. In green revolution, we had irrigated, chemical intensive farming with, and we had high yielding varieties. Now it is bio intensive and irrigated. So if we see under cultivation processes or under the consequences, we see that when this time corporate farming is now getting in. Improvement in soil health is the focus, and mitigation of climate change effects are the focus this time. So that is why we have to develop site specific technologies. We have to have site specific apps for the farmers, because now we are shifting from subsistence farming to corporate farming. So because initially as pre-green revolution, we called it subsistence farming, we had low yield. In green revolution, we had commercial farming, then unsuitable high yields that resulted in degradation of natural resources and development of resistant herbal herbicide resistance in weeds. But now, what we are focusing on post green revolution is corporate farming. So the paradigms of Indian agriculture, pre-independence area, if we see from pre-independence area to post-green revolution area, that is in pre-independence era, we had human labor and animal power. We had water application with traditional methods. We had largely manual application. Then we had inorganic chemicals and plant products. But in post-independence era, we had traditional agriculture technology, irrigation development, and fertilizer with traditional varieties and animal power used in farm mechanization. Then in green revolution era, we had modern agriculture technology, intensification of irrigation and fertilizers, and exploitation of high yielding varieties and fuel power and mechanization. And in post green revolution era, we had intensification of irrigation and fertilizers and exploitation of high yielding varieties, hybrids, and transgenic crops, and improved farm mechanization. So, initially we had various crops and livestock, but now in commodity green revolution area, we had focus on more rice, wheat, cotton, sugarcane. But in post green revolution area, we have to focus on farming systems, resource conservation technologies, organic farming, and then precision farming, IPM, and biotechnology. So that is where now precision farming comes into vogue. So traditional versus modern agriculture. In traditional agriculture, we had small farms, and in modern agriculture, we want to have large as well as small farms. Then in traditional agriculture, we had polyculture. In modern agriculture, we have monoculture. Because in commercial farming, we have to have more area under one crop. So that way, the farmer can have monopoly on the price. Then in traditional agriculture, we had heterogeneous germplasm, and in modern agriculture, we had uniform high-yielding varieties and hybrids. In traditional agriculture, we had minimum tillage, and in modern agriculture, we have appropriate timely tillage. Then in traditional agriculture, we had little fertilizers and agrochemicals, and now we are having extensive use of fertilizers and agrochemicals. That is why the soils have degraded and we are coming back for natural farming, or we are having the slogan of organic farming. So in traditional farming, we had varying period for fallow, and this time we do not keep our lands fallow. We just go for intensive land use that has resulted in degradation of the soil fertility. So, in conventional and versus modern agriculture, we see that inputs are applied at a uniform rate over an entire farm and field. And more specifically, overlooked field variability and decisions are neither information driven nor based on a prescribed need, but typically made to avoid risk. So, that is why we are going for the precision agriculture. I mean to say here is that in both conventional and modern agriculture, we were giving fertilizer to the entire farm, entire field at the same rate. There's no variability uh, taken into variability in application of fertilizer on the basis of the soil health. That was not taken into consideration. Like we don't know even the input, the initial status of the soil. Despite knowing, without knowing, we would go for a blanket application. And the the soil test, even if we do the soil test of the farm, but we don't take into consideration that there may be variability in the farm. So that is why where the precision agriculture comes into vogue. And the feasibility for precision agriculture is that at least we should be having a large farm so that our resources are utilized fully. We should be having approach to the better technological resource. We should be having better technological resource, and we must be having a mechanized production system. So if we are having these three things, then we can apply the precision agriculture over there. The objectives of the precision agriculture is management of crop and soil variability in a manner which increases profitability and reduces environmental destruction. So we keep these two, three things in mind, that there may be variability in the soil, there is variability in the crop. So we have to manage both in the way that the farmer is benefited, his profit is increased. Not only the yield, but what matters is the profit. And then there has to be the environment has to be taken into consideration. So these things are the basic things which we keep focus on when we think about precision agriculture. So the components of precision agriculture is that we should be having the background data. We should be having data of the farm, what the farmer has been doing on his soil, for how many years he has been farming on that, what were the crops that he was growing, and then latitude, longitude, altitude of that place. In addition, the soil data, the initial soil status, and then whether it is irrigated or rain fed. So all the data has to be there. Then record keeping system has to be there. He should be maintaining the record, the date of sowing, the date of harvesting, the date of fertilizer applications, and all other records. And then analysis and decision making processes. This is very important because we have to analyze first, and then we can take a good decision. If the analysis is wrong, the decision can be wrong. If the decision is wrong, the whole cropping system will be wrong, and the farmer will not go into profit, and there will be no benefit of the precision agriculture. Then he should be having specialized implementation and equipments. And then evaluation and revision. We have to evaluate every progress, every project should be evaluated, so that if it is a success, we can go ahead. If it's not a success, we can think upon it and we can revise the technologies. The precision agriculture technologies are geographic information systems, which you must be having so many lectures on it, global positioning systems, remote sensing, yield monitoring, and variable rate technologies. These are the important precision agriculture technologies. Uh, when we have GIS, GPS, remote sensing, yield monitoring, when we are using these, even if we are using variable rate technology, we can say that we are using one component of the precision agriculture. The features of precision agriculture system is information management system, that is which you can get from GPS or remote sensing or GIS or DSS or CSMs, or data collection devices we can be having. We can have SPAD. SPAD we should be having, so that we can know about how much light has been intercepted. Green seeker, then moisture meter, yield monitor, soil sampling, all these devices we should be having. Then control application mechanisms, that is laser leveler, GPS guided variable rate applicator, combine harvester, automated drip irrigation system. These are some of the devices which we be needing for control applications. So the potential impacts of these precision agriculture technologies is economic impact, environmental impact, and sociological impact. If these are the important impacts which will give us the sustainability, whether these technologies are sustainable or not. So the major impacts of these precision agriculture technologies is that they reduce the cost of production. In no way we should be see the initial cost of production may be high by the use of these implements, but once they are being used or they are being purchased, then further there will be reduced cost of production. Efficient use of inputs, which is one of the main objectives of precision agriculture, and then increase the size and scope of farming operations, reduce labor requirements, improve insight selection process, improving control of production process for higher value or special products, improving record keeping and production tracking of for food safety, and above all, the environmental benefits. Now, the cost to implement precision agriculture, that is, if we have the background data, the cost may be there, but the benefit is identification of problems causing low yield and environmentally sensitive areas. In record keeping, we can have the cost will be that we have to purchase the software, or we can have them from public domain packages. And then, but the benefit will be organized data which allow farmers to make logical decisions, analysis and decision making. Then it may be expensive first, but the benefit is analysis allows the farmer to make the right economic and environmental decisions. And in equipments, when he will be purchasing the yield monitors, or we will be having a variable rate spray or fertilizer control, it may be initially costing him, but these crop inputs can be reduced and the environment can be protected. So economic impacts of these precision agriculture technologies, we have seen that in variable rate nitrogen, in winter wheat or wheat, maize, that in some of the areas, net profit has increased in most of the areas. But there has been one or two research which show that by variable, for example, in the third one, variable rate nitrogen wheat in USA, they saw no profit increase with variable rate nitrogen application. The uniform 90 kg N per hectare top dress and strategy showed an average and highest net return. So this is some of the gists we have collected. But when we vary the rate of nitrogen and phosphorus in cereals in Australia, they have seen that positive economic potentials were there. Similarly, for variable rate pesticide, although in variable rate pesticide, we see for winter wheat, Germany, we see that the initial cost for investments for sensor-based fungicide spraying are around and could be covered within approximately 2 years. So the initial cost of the instruments or whatever they had to buy for this fungicide, sensor-based fungicide spray, so that was recovered within 2 years, and after that he was having a lot of this profit. So that is what we want to say here, is that all these precision agriculture technologies may be a bit expensive at the beginning, but afterwards there is more than 50% of profit increase. For example, in controlled traffic farming, in automatic section control, in auto guidance, it is initially expensive, but in the long run, it's going to pay back its initial cost as well as profit, and less drudgery to the farmer, less labor requirement for the farmer, and environmental protection, which is one of the key slogans today in this century. So we see that over the traditional farming, we see if yield maps or yield monitoring or GPS or VRT, all of these are having profit over the traditional farming. And yield monitoring is having the highest average variable production cost per acre, and the profit also. But the thing is that the initial cost is very high. But so that is why precision agriculture was easily taken by the advanced countries, the developed countries. So to facilitate such adoption, public and private initiatives have been fostered by developed countries like USA and Australia. They started right from 1980s, and developing countries like China from 2001, Uruguay from 2006, India from 2011, Brazil. So this is the stage-wise adoption of precision agriculture. So that is why this training has been initiated through AgriSet and all, because our country is also wanting to adopt the precision agriculture, especially where there are large farms and especially in the commercial farming systems. So the model for adoption, non-adoption of technology, it also depends. The developed countries adopt a technology very fast, and the underdeveloped countries, they have their own criterias of not adopting the technology. So here I have just shown a little bit that the easy adoption of the technology is based on the profit, environmental benefit, And for a person or for a country or for a region who wants to be at the forefront of the technology, so they easily take up the new technology, they easily adopt the new technology. And the non-adoption of any technology is because we may not be able to afford it, because it may be higher cost, or we don't have the time or the energy or the mental direction to adopt it, or we are satisfied with the current practice, or many others. For example, we'll take the mobile phone. The older generation did not take it first, the younger generation take it. And for example, if I'm having a phone, I'm satisfied with it, although there are many higher versions which my son will be adopting, which other people may be trying to adopt, but I'm just satisfied with that phone. I don't want to leave. So that happens with all technologies, whether they are farming technologies, whether they are electronic technologies. So this is one of the nesting of this nest model, how technology is adopted. So there's one of the research paper, the adoption of precision agriculture technologies among the corn farms. Uh, it is from the USDA. So they have seen that yield monitor, this technology is adopted by 48%, yield map 25%, and guidance system 29%, soil properties and GPS map 19%, and variable rate technologies by 19%. So this way, this is the adoption technologies. Now, factors for adoption of precision agriculture technologies. There is socioeconomic factors are there, operator's age. Like I said, that I will not change my phone or my laptop easily, but my son or my daughter will change it because they have to be updated. So this also plays an important role. And then education, then years of farming experience. So these are some of the socioeconomic factors, operators age and years of farming experience. But how we can make them, we can get them educated through our extension farmers, extension functionaries, through kvks, through the agriculture officers. We can get them convinced to adopt the technology. Then there are agroecological factors like land tenure. They may be part-time owner farmers. For example, I have an orchard and I give it to somebody for 2 or 3 years. So he's not concerned to adopt this technology because he knows that I'm here for 2 years only. I have taken this orchard or this land for 2 years only, and then I will get my bit. And then why should I do these land leveling or laser leveling of this land? Why should I do all those things? Then farm specialization. For even if you are full owner farmers, but you don't have the farm specialization. 1 year you are specializing in, for example, in if we take annual crops. So he's having one crop in 1 year, another year he will be having some another crop. Then the farm size is also very important, and that will depend upon his farm income and profitability. Then farm sales, then variable fertilizer rates, because we will see that the percentage of mean crop in the total farmland. For example, we'll be having an orchard, and then in between the orchard, he will be having some intercrop. So he doesn't know on what I have to apply the fertilizer because the main crop. So he will do it on for the main crop only. Then livestock sales, then debt to asset ratio, then production value, then the agroecological factor is owned land minus the rented land, and yield. And the institutional factors are distance from a fertilizer dealer. So for that, he can use a forward contract. Then region, what region he's having there and what pressures he's having. Then informational factors, he can use the variable that is he's using different consultants at different times. Sometimes he's taking the information from Google, sometimes he's taking from the university, sometimes he's taking from the KVK. So for that, we should be having good extension services in implementing precision farming practices. Then farmers' perception, that's one of the most important, because he's having a perceived profitability of using precision agriculture, or he's having a concept that precision agriculture is an expensive thing, I cannot do it. So then behavioral factors, willingness to adopt variable rate technology, the farmer should be willing to adopt it. Then technological factors, we are having yield mapping, and we can have the use of computers. These are the variables. And then the farm should be having an irrigated facility, and we can generate own map based input prescription. So it means the farmer should be having full knowledge of his soil status and of his resources, his source of irrigation, for example, or if he has a well, and the weather information when it rains in his region. So these are his, then that means that is his input prescription. Inputs means his all inputs means, in addition to the fertilizer, in addition to the seed, whether he's having a good quality seed, whether he's having a high yielding variety seed. In addition to it, now we consider the status of the soil and all other resources as his inputs. So the general perspectives of precision agriculture we'll be discussing. The agronomical perspective is how he has to adjust the cultural practices for real needs of the crop. Better fertilization. For example, initially we used to give one dose, and with further research, we have increased these dosages. For example, in nitrogen, we know it gets wasted. So we give first a basal dose, then we give um, split doses, first dose, second dose, on the basis of at what phenological stage the crop is able to take. So that way it is a better fertilization. So here also in precision agriculture, we have to see when and where we have to fertilize the field and the crop. The technical perspective is that we will be having a better time management, and the environmental perspective is that we will be having a reduction of agricultural impacts, like better estimation of crop nitrogen needs, implying limitation of nitrogen runoff. So when there's limited nitrogen applied to the crop, and that crop is taking it fully, then there will be less runoff, and our environment will be less polluted. Then economical perspectives, increase of the output and reduction of the input. So this is one of the most important thing, that output should be more and input should be less. That is increase of efficiency. For example, in lower cost of nitrogen fertilization practice, we may be using, initially the farmer may be using higher nitrogen, but with precision agriculture, he has to, since he will be going for example, LCC, leaf color chart, or he will be having variable rate technology, or whatever technology he will be adopting in reducing the fertilizer cost. So that way we are having increase in the efficiency of that very product. So precision agriculture, if we take into account the resource perspective of precision agriculture. So first of all, we said that we have to have reduced inputs. So reduced inputs we have seen through economic pursuit, when we can get the cost benefit ratio from the legislation or from the environmental proof. We see that precision agriculture results in reduced inputs. And then we have an improved control. The farmer has an improved control over his farm through GPS, through GIS, and management information is there, so through decision support system or through GIS. And this way it increases the efficiency. And through improved control, we have implement control and monitoring. So increased efficiency, we get less waste and we get low environmental impact. So in the long run, we improve the gross margins. So from the crop productivity perspective, we say that nutrient supply according to soil variation may be most significant aspect of precision agriculture, which aims at improving the input-output characteristics of the soil and crop system as they vary in space and time. And information and management technology are combined into a production systems to cater the variability that can increase production efficiency by allow more efficient input use through efficient application. So precision instruments are able to complete in-field operations like cultivation, seed sowing, application of fertilizers, pesticides, and harvest timely, which enhance the crop productivity. So precision agriculture provides sufficient understanding of the processes involved to apply inputs in such a way as to be able to achieve a particular goal. The goal, however, might not necessarily mean maximum yield, but maybe to optimize financial advantage while operating within environmental constraints. So, what we said was that even if we do not get very high yield, but profitability and the environment sustainability should be there. So precision agriculture involves the use of spatial asset allocation and management to distribute available time and money where it is most needed and will provide the best return. Precision agriculture provides tools for tailoring production inputs to specific plots within a field, thus potentially reducing input costs, increasing yields, and reducing environmental impacts by better matching input supply to crop needs. So within the field also, we have to be having the information plot wise, so that that is called the site specific nutrient application, for site specific nutrient application, or for this soil test based cropping system. So within the field there is variability. We have to understand that the front end or the back end or the east end or the west end of the farmer is not the same as the other. So within the plots there is variability, and that has to be taken into consideration for precision agriculture, which is paving the way for agriculture producers by allowing for precise management of inputs. The appropriate management processes and information needs vary among different environments, but also among different decisions to be made. So the probable strategies for precision agriculture can be, we know that the farming, the holding size of our farmers is very less, but we can have farmers cooperatives. By that, they can even pool their land together and have one commercial farming on that area, and they can be having their cooperatives for buying of the inputs, for custom hiring of the instruments. We can have some custom hiring system in the village or in the panchayat, so that the laser leveler will be available to all, or the instruments which are needed for precision agriculture, they may be available to all. Then we can have some pilot projects. With this time also we are having 1 or 2 pilot projects in the country for precision agriculture. Then we can we can start with cheaper applications. For example, site specific nutrient management, it's a cheaper cheaper tool for this precision agriculture. Similarly, leaf color chart, it's also a very cheap cheap in, there's not much expenditure on the input if we use the leaf color chart. Or if we go for GPS, GIS, or remote sensing, we can have those from the government, the remote sensing, we can get the data from them. We can connect the farmers with the remote sensing person, with the scientist, and he can help them. Then combined effort of researchers and the government. So that's what I wanted to say, is that this has to be done. This has to be done. We are having persons with GPS, GIS information. We are having persons with the remote sensing information, but it is not percolating down to the farms. And that effort has to be taken into account, because the scientists are working in their own labs, the government people are working in their own offices, and the farmer is working on his own level. So all these persons have to come together for precision agriculture. Then there's another inexpensive way of acquiring images with camera, invisible and infrared bands using powered parachutes. This can be done by an NGO or done by a cooperative or done by the remote sensing person, and the data can be given to the farmers. So concluding, I can say that precision farming may help farmers to harvest fruits of frontier technologies without compromising on the quality of land and produce. And the precision farming would trigger a techno-green revolution in India, which is the need of the hour. I can share one or two things from my personal experience. Visit to the foreign countries. For example, uh, I can say about China. What happened in China was that the same problem which we Indians are having, that our kids don't want to go into the farming. They move to the cities for technologies, for lab works, or for offices. They don't want to do farming. So what they did was they pooled all the holding of the lands. They made into one cooperative. For example, in a village, if they're having 100 hectares, but it was all scattered. So what they did was one farmer had 4 hectares, the other had 1 hectare, the other had 3 hectares. And so they just made a cooperative of it and they went for mass farming. So with that, for example, we saw a village which was having medicinal plants only. So that whole was done by a contract farming system, and the villagers themselves were the laborers. There they were working, they were getting as the labor, as well as they were getting the money from the medicinal company. In another case, we saw that the farmers themselves had pooled their whole land into citrus farming, and they were so they were using the robots, they were using the helicopters. For example, in village vegetables, in the farms which we went, the helicopters would come down and take the vegetables and sell. So that happened only because we asked them that those farms were not of one person only. They had pooled the land and made a cooperative, and that way it was very cheap, and precision farming was adopted. Mechanization, laser leveling, variable rate technology, everything was adopted. Similarly, we saw it in Israel. So these are the two countries which I'm giving you example because they had small. It's not like US and Brazil. They had their farmers had ranches, a big areas for commercial areas for commercial farming. So these countries, I'm saying about Israel is a very small country, very small. It's even smaller than my state. But what we saw was that we would walk, or when we were traveling, we saw hundreds and hundreds of canals of lands, many hectares under one crop. So it may be wheat. So we did not see a single human being in the farms. We only saw machines, machines harvesting, machines rolling the straw, machines spraying that sprinkler sprayer, which was moving on its own, or IT based drip irrigation we saw. We did not see persons or farmers toiling in sun, but we saw machines working, and that was only because they had pooled their lands together and made a big cooperative for which they had adopted the precision agriculture. So we also have to convince our farmers, because we cannot stop them from distributing their lands in the sons and all, and with the result that our holdings become very small and mechanization is not possible. But we can make them or motivate them to get into cooperative farming. They can just pool their lands together and make their own cooperative, not as a contract farming. The farmers themselves can be the leaders, they themselves can be the managing body of that organization, they themselves have to be the ones who make decisions, they themselves have to see what to produce, how to market. They must be having, because this time we are having an excellent management of the government for agriculture, which is one of the key points for their progress. So, in my opinion, unless and until agriculture is improved, the country cannot move forward. Thank you.
चैट बॉक्स ऑन कर दीजिए रोहित जी.
ओके सर.
पार्टिसिपेंट्स की मैम यदि एक दो क्वेरीज होंगी ना तो वो चैट बॉक्स में लिख देते हैं, वो मैं पढ़ के आपको बता दूंगा तो आप उसको रिजॉल्व कर दें. काफी लोगों की सराहनाएं आ रही हैं मैडम. नाइस प्रेजेंटेशन, प्लीज सेंड पीपीटी. मैम विल यू प्लीज शेयर पीपीटी? नाइस प्रेजेंटेशन, नाइस प्रेजेंटेशन.
Yeah, I will share. I will send it to you, or
जी मैं भेज दूंगा.
जी, आप मेल कर दीजिए.
ये ट्रेनिंग और इसके बाद में मैडम हमारी एक मिलेट कॉन्फ्रेंस भी डिजाइंड है. एक 15 डेज का एफडीपी भी है. तो नाजिर सर का प्रत्येक एक्टिविटी पे आशीर्वाद बना रहता है. मेरी जब भी बात होती है तो सर का सर इनॉग्रल में भी थे.
अच्छा.
हाँ, तो आपका भी सहयोग चाहिए होगा मैडम.
फाइन, श्योर.
जी हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी हमेशा आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी से कोलैबोरेट होके ही करती है कोई भी प्रोग्राम. और कभी कानपुर आइएगा मैडम.
ठीक है, आ जाएंगे.
एक क्वेश्चन है मैम. ब्यूटीफुली एक्सप्लेनेशन मैम. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर शेयरिंग योर पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंसेस एंड आइडियाज ऑन हाउ प्रिसीजन फार्मिंग इज पॉसिबल इन इंडिया. गुड इवनिंग मैडम. वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग प्रेजेंटेशन. मैम हर व्यक्ति आपकी सराहना और हर व्यक्ति आपकी तारीफ कर रहा है.
थैंक यू.
जी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद मैडम. मेरे निवेदन पे आपने सेशन ज्वाइन किया और आगे के सभी कार्यक्रमों में मैं आपकी सहभागिता चाहूंगा, आपका सपोर्ट चाहूंगा मैडम.
कोई बात नहीं, ठीक है.
जो भी हम एकेडमिक एक्टिविटीज करेंगे हम चाहेंगे कि आप जरूर एसोसिएटेड हो.
ठीक है.
जी ठीक है. सभी पार्टिसिपेंट्स लेफ्ट कर सकते हैं. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद मैडम.
ओके, थैंक यू एवरीबॉडी.
जी
थैंक यू.